Sure, and you're spending so many hours of the day already there, and then afterwards you see those people around the community as well, so it kind of reinforces the sense that we're all in this together.
Right.
Now that the plant's been closed for over a year, what are some of the things that you think about when the word either General Motors comes up, or when you think about the plant? What memories come to mind?
Well, they were all good memories.
Really?
Yeah, because
after 32 years?
Yeah, there were probably, and maybe it's easier to say that now that I'm not working there every day, but I'm going to say 90% of the memories were good ones, because again, you worked with people that you knew, good people, and so yeah, we had some differences of opinions at times, but we normally worked through them and resolved that. When I think about it, it kind of came as a surprise, because through that 32-year period, there were other times when, pickup trucks went to Fort Wayne and they thought that they needed a half a plant to do pickup trucks, and they decided no, they didn't. Okay, so we went on and had the medium duty for, I think it was 8, 10, 12 years, something like that. We always seemed to be able to backfill with something. When the small car fad came in, we put the Cavalier in there, and then after that, when sport utilities were becoming big, we put that in there. So there was always that kind of that sense that, yeah, we'll find something else. It's unfortunate that, with the economy and the price of gas and all that kind of stuff coming together at once, this particular time they just didn't need that kind of capacity. And so it came as a surprise. And when I think about it today, I never thought that I'd see GM go through bankruptcy, but I guess as I reflect back on it, nobody thought Chrysler would ever go through it, and Chrysler many years ago went through it and came back out. And I think GM will continue to survive and be a strong company. They're going to be a leaner company, and we'd already started down that path, and this just accelerated it some.
Okay. So the memories were pleasant, and after 32 years, that really is such a big part, I would think, myself being 34 years old, that I would think really determines who you are as a person. And you define who you are. How do you feel that experience affected you as a person, who you are now, and how you
Well, I think due to the nature of the types of people, when you're talking that many, I mean, the number I stated earlier, whether it's 5,000 or 7,000, in a lot of communities, that's the size of the whole community. And you get a very wide range of people that work there, so you have a whole lot of different people that you're dealing with, and I think through that, whether it's work issues or successes that they have on the outside, that kind of stuff, that interchange with those kind of people makes you deal with those kind of things. And in my case, I've always been a person that likes to deal and work with people. So it was a challenge at times, but I think it made me a stronger person, because I couldn't take just one approach. A lot of times I would try to be, I would listen and try and take input and make those decisions and try to come to a compromise. And I'm going to say probably maybe the last 10 years more so, or maybe the last 15 years, where we actually solicited more input from the entire work team, where maybe when I first started, this is the way we're going to do it, and we're just going to go do it. And then we came to the realization that everybody that's involved with the process has a lot of good ideas and a lot of good input, and we started pulling that more. And I think that's what even helped us to become a better workforce, where we invited everybody. Not everybody chose to be a part of it. Some said, just tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it, where others were a little bit more outward, and they would say, hey, I've got an idea here. Okay, well, let's try it. Let's see how it works.
Dave, the issue that I wanted to address also, and I think is pretty important, very important really, is the issue of diversity at the plant, and the fact that today I have guests that are all white male, but I think there was more people that were working at the plant that were just Caucasian male. Can you talk a little bit about the transition of the plant as it went from really being all male, all white, to being a more diverse workplace that it became?
I'm going to say by the time I had started working there, we were already pretty much diverse, or we had some diversity there. As a young supervisor, you start out on the second shift, and at that time, I don't know exactly when we first started probably hiring ladies, but there were an awful lot of ladies that had worked second shift. So we had quite a bit of diversity there. And one of the things that you worked with in that situation was a lot of more moms, and in being a mom, they have family needs and that kind of stuff. So that was an opportunity to work through some of that. I can remember in some of my first departments, I had, I'm going to say, not a large number, a handful of black females and black males working for me, and I can remember one guy, I can remember Al to this day, a really good guy, and he was one of those guys that, I'd say, Al, what do you think on this? He had probably been, I'm going to say when I was first starting out, he'd probably been there 10 or 12 years, so he kind of knew his way around, and I respected him. Everybody respected him, and kind of looked to him for some guidance on a lot of that stuff. And so I don't have as much of a transition in the diversity portion. I mean, the numbers probably grew more, but in the way I worked with people, it was pretty much I didn't care who they were. I always kind of played the card that, I'm not going to be successful unless you guys are successful, so, help me out here, and that appealed to a lot of them, that, it wasn't, okay, this is the way we're going to do it and lay it right down, where I asked for that input. And a lot of my success came because I had good people at all levels working for me.
What about that brings up an interesting point of interaction between the salaried employees and the union. Was there a lot of tension there, or was it in the end you kind of were all at the same place doing the same job, or how did that work out in your perspective?
Well, I'm going to say it was kind of on a case-by-case basis. I've always liked working with people, so I wasn't afraid of going up and talking to somebody and, okay, give me your side of it, even if you're chewing me out. Okay, I've heard that. Okay, so now what are we going to do to get better? Where some people kind of took an aggressive, no, I'm the boss type thing, and this is the way we're going to do it. Some of those guys were successful, some of them were less successful. And I think as it went forward, and I'm going to say probably the last 15 years, where we said we want to invite you to be part of making the business better. And it was driven from the top down. And some of us had been doing it for a long time. They just didn't know that, because I thought, one guy is smart enough. Well, there's probably some guys. This guy wasn't smart enough to be successful with a group of 30 or 300, all facets of it, without a lot of good input and a lot of, let's try this, let's try that sort of stuff. So, and at the end, I'm going to say we really, the term that is kicked around a lot is lean manufacturing, taking the waste out. And even before, I'm going to say probably 10 years before the Janesville plant closed, and that time frame before GM really kind of got into the bankruptcy problem, we had really taken that on. And it was a commitment by both the union and management together. I mean, one of the jobs I had was a lean manufacturing manager, and I had a UAW counterpart, and her and I worked together. The strategy, a lot of the strategies were developed for us, but it was our job to implement those. And so, we had that opportunity when they saw both the UAW and management together that, we're going to try these. And we didn't have a lot of resistance in the first place, but I think it made for a better sell when both parties were bringing it out together.